Welcome back to College Football 26, episode 24. With success, especially as a small program, comes loss. And you get guys that are ready to move on to bigger, better things. And in this case, our defensive coordinator has taken a head coaching job elsewhere. And so his replacement is Chester Donahue. Now, Donahue is only a C on Prestige and a level 16 tactician to help us with performance on defense. Not great, but that was literally what we had. Our selection of 6 or 8 coaches were all C Prestige and identical situations. Cardi has recovered some of his very much lost prestige after his failed head coaching job. He's back up to a B- now and up to level 33, where we sit at level 28 and an A- ourselves now. So we have broken into that A territory. Coach Prestige is now a viable recruiting option. I was at a B- last season, and I was still nervous to use Coach Prestige as a pitch, and there's a lot of players out there that's their deal breaker is Coach Prestige. So it really opens up a lot of recruiting possibilities for us to get some bigger, better players season by season. And with the season come to a close, it's Alabama, the number 1 seed this year, defeating Clemson in the national championship 41-31. And for the first time, we're going to take a look at the final top 25 rankings of the year, and that is for one reason only. We're on the list. And I guess we'll make it a second reason to look at it to see just how good is the opposition. What are we building towards? Because it's one thing to start beating our conference on a regular basis. We've got 2 championships in a row. Give it another 1 or 2, and I might bump us to a different conference to be competitive. We might change things up a little bit on that part. But just how good are the best teams? Well, Alabama, 95. Clemson, 99 across the board. Miami, at 97. Ohio State, 99. Florida State cracks the top 6 while only being an 84. USC in the 90s. Georgia, 99s, yet only 11th in the rankings. And at 11-2. Shocking that they are so low in the rankings with that record, that quality of a roster. Somebody didn't like them. But you can see there's a handful of elite teams, and then it drops off. I mean, Old Dominion ends up 19th at 13-1. They're only a 74 overall. They're only a 2-star program. So there is kind of what the possibilities are for us. UConn, 3 stars, 76 overall. San Diego State, 74 overall. Texas, rough go there. They were out of the rankings entirely, but a 97 overall. And then there we come in at 24th with our 81 overall. Absolutely better than almost a handful. It was, 3-4 programs were behind us. Louisiana Tech was certainly behind us. We're headed upwards, and I feel like we can start to compete as a regular top 25 and maybe squeeze into the playoff, but not do anything with it just yet. Well, I kind of like this new problem. A player leaving early, a junior, for the draft. We haven't been able to get guys drafted, period, before. Now getting somebody so good that they're leaving early, that's an acceptable problem to have. So it's a 91 overall wide receiver, but the problem is Coffee is also right there with him, so our 2 junior wide receivers are leaving. And this is all over play style, so we're losing our wide receiver core. 5 of the first 6 guys listed here are all wide receivers. It's a huge problem. And like the playing time ones, the guys above you are leaving. They should be able to be convinced under those circumstances of, hello, the guys you're stuck behind aren't going to be here next year. That puts you at the top of the list. Oh, playing time you were worried about? Right. There's your solution. Not leaving somewhere else to find it. Thought the AI had some common sense here. Anyway, everybody leaving is in the 70 plus category. We're looking at 9 guys. Persuasion wise, we can talk to 8 of them. So chances are bad, though. Chances are bad across the board. B plus on the playing style, and yet he won't stick around. Well, we're not going to retain any of them. And as for the graduates, a couple 88s, 83 and 84, a couple 90s. There's another draftee coming in a cornerback. We're losing a lot of talent. This is new territory for us. We are losing a lot of quality. It's not going to be easy to replace. Well, good news is the team sets a record with not 2 but 3 drafted players. We squeezed an extra one into the 7th round after not being projected. 91, a 90, and a 90 overall, though. That's big misses, big losses for us. Especially losing the couple juniors at the level they were at really hurts. It kind of drains the senior class for the coming year just a bit, which I guess means we're not going to lose much next year. I feel like we're about to have a bit of a rebuilding year. So we're into the final recruitment day. We've already signed 9 guys, which I think is a record for us at this point, and quite a few 4 stars, though we're going to end up only getting 5 in this class. Not as much as I was hoping for, but still better than the previous classes by 1 anyway. So we're still headed in the right direction on that one. Those 4 stars are hard to compete for. For us, we're getting closer to being competitive, right? Having the coach, program prestige, all kind of on the rise. It's bringing up a lot of grades, which means we can actually win a head-to-head. Right now, it's just almost impossible to win a head-to-head, at least with the better programs. You could beat a weak program, but they're all competing for like 2-star guys, which is why we're beating them so comfortably, because we've been recruiting the 3-star guys, the leftovers that they haven't been able to hone in on, as they're only getting a few of those. So getting an entire class of 3 stars is why we are beating all the programs at our level. And while I might be able to compete with them for recruits, I just can't compete with the big schools. And for the 4-star guys, that's who they're after. So it's still hard to get in there and find a 4-star, get to them first before the other schools could come in. But there was a little bit of competition that we've been able to head off, and that's just that massive head start, and that's still the only way to make that happen. We can, as our rankings improve, recruit these guys. The same amount of hours gets you farther, and so we are getting better. We are getting quicker, and that's why we have 9 guys signed already right now. In previous seasons, we had 0 signed at this point. Everything happened on signing day. Speaking of signing day, this is the first time. I'm confident we're going to get all 35. 34 of the 35 going into this week. We are the only team that's recruiting those 34 guys. And unlike prior years where maybe 33 of those, yes, we're comfortably ahead, fairly comfortably ahead, and if a big program came in at the last minute, we'll often lose one of those because we're not that far ahead. That's not really an issue for pretty much the entire group. The one guy that we do have competition on is a transfer player. There's only 3 of them that I'm after. All 3 stars. Junior weak side linebacker, a sophomore quarterback, and a sophomore free safety are the 3 that we're after. 50 hours going in on all. I'm also getting a visit this week on the guy we have a competition on, and it was only just this week that Maryland jumped in, and you could see that with our 50 hours versus their 50 hours, they didn't gain. Now, I don't know if they did put in 50 hours. If they put in 25, well, if they decide to put in 50 this week, they can definitely gain some ground. But with the visit and doing the championship contender visit, his deal breaker, I feel like it should be enough. Should be enough to get his signature, and therefore I'm confident that we're actually going to get our first ever class of 35. A quick check to see if we did get all 35. Our 4-star guys, though: right edge, halfback, tight end, wide receiver, and a second wide receiver. And we did it. 35 in the class. 0 athletes this time in a fairly balanced recruiting class. Should be straightforward on by position changes. We got a running back coming in as a true freshman who's a 76 overall, putting him second best on the roster, at least at this point. You would figure that John, with development, would go above him. Tobin might go above him, and if I can make that happen, then we've got a good chance to get Johnson into a redshirt position for next season. His deal breaker is playing style, not playing time. Well, we certainly decimated our wide receiver core with 4 guys heading out, but we're still not looking bad. 2 of the freshmen coming in are already mid-70s. We still have a couple guys in the 80s above them, but we are nowhere near as deep for the coming season at wide receiver. Season trading results are in, and here's how we're looking. We've got 3 players in the 90-plus category with a couple 93s and a 91. A right edge, a middle linebacker, and our halfback, Greg, the superstar, is back for another year. He was not a graduate. Our middle linebacker is only a junior, but he's probably going to head to the NFL, you would think. But the top of this list certainly has plenty of quality, including this one in particular. Strong side linebacker, in 86 overall. Red shirt freshman. He played 4 games or less last year. And his deal breaker is playing time. He's going to get it. So, not counting those new 35 players coming in, we've got an 84 overall on Sebastian at quarterback. He didn't improve that much. Galai behind him, or Galii, is also of the same class, so it's really not that helpful. Hare, this is our... Okay, there's a transfer. That's one of our 3 transfers, so the transfers do, well, as they should, get their development. He's up to a 74. Behind Greg, we've got an 81 overall halfback and a 77 at fullback. We've got our 2 guys in the mid-80s for wide receiver. Definitely improvement in Tobias, the freshman. Tight end, we've got just an 81 in Proctor, so he did not improve much. And behind him, not a ton of improvement either. So tight end, a little bit weak for the coming season. Left tackle is one where we need a little bit more. We're sitting on a 75 and a 73 for our top 2 guys. It is a redshirt freshman, though. Hopefully with a starting job this year, he'll improve a lot for the next season. We've got an 87 beside him at left guard, and an 82 and an 81 at center. Both of those guys, a junior and a sophomore, so they'll stick around. Smith, what's your... He played quite a bit last year. Playing time is his deal breaker, so we're going to have to make sure he does get a chance to play. Otherwise, we will lose him. Right guard, we've got an 81 and a 76 to back him up. Right tackle, a couple 77s and a couple 72s. There's certainly some quality within the group. Better than our line has been. That is better than our line has been. Remember, we didn't have anybody in the 80-plus category before. We've got some now. 89 at left edge and quality backups behind him. A 93 at right edge and an 83 backing him up, but they're both seniors. 81 at defensive tackle. Looks like our defense is going to anchor us again this year. Offense still has some holes. Development hasn't been great at some of those positions. But strong side, redshirt freshman Jackson, 86. A 93 at middle. An 81 also at middle. An 86 at weak. 87 at corner. We're not going to give up very many points in our conference. 86 at free safety. And an 80 at strong safety, and a redshirt freshman in Strickland ready to take over that starting job. We're at kicker. And an 82 at punter. Well, this is definitely the opposite of what I expected it to be. I thought we were heading into a rebuilding year, yet the defense has retooled sufficiently to replace the outgoing players, and we go from an 86 to an 86. The offense, the one that was lagging behind last year, that was sitting on, gosh, what was it, a 79? Yeah, because we had an 81 overall, and a 79 offense. Well, the offense got better. We certainly noticed that some offensive line positions got better, and while we lost some depth at wide receiver, overall, position by position, outside of that one position of wide receiver, we did get better. And so that was enough to bring the offense up to an 81 and the overall up to an 83. So we're better than a year ago. Nice. This season, we're going to knock out our 4 non-conference games first, beginning with FCS East. We'll be on the road at Arkansas State, who were 10-4 a year ago. We at home against South Alabama, who were just 1-11 last year, and then Ole Miss, Mississippi State, 7-6. 2-6 in the SEC last season. Still not an easy game. I mean, they were 5-0 in non-conference games last season. And we're on the road. We're into new territory when it comes to recruiting. Something we haven't seen. Actually, we have seen. We see with other programs, just not our program. We go 50 hours, we go all in, we send the house. It's plus 5 influence. But it's still based on your pitches, which is why the bigger programs catch up to us even when we go all in. That's starting to change. We were just talking about this a little bit ago, that we are making progress, that our ratings are getting better, and it's showing. We're going to get some of our recruits very quickly. Now, here, our number 1 right now is a left tackle in Tobin, a 4-star 27th player at his position, so very, very good nationally. Playing style is an A, so we're really good on his deal breaker, and he's local. He's from Ohio. But there's competition, and I decided I was going to go for it, and so far it's working out really well. But after a few weeks of this, we're still only on the verge of getting him down to a top 5. It's going to take a while. But then there's cases like this with Trevor Diamond. And I wish he was a Diamond recruit. That would be nice. But anyway, it's a right edge, 3-star. And there is competition, Bowling Green. And because of the competition, I've gone all in with 50 hours. But we're only a few weeks in. And we just broke into the top 3 already. This is that rarefied air. Now, it's case-by-case basis. Instead of having just 1 or 2 grades that are good on our entire board, we're talking about lots of good grades. And here's that example for you. So, academic prestige, our school apparently is the SEC. But that's our only F on this particular guy, at least. Athletic facilities are still lagging behind at a D. We're still only a 2-star program. That's going to take more time for that to come along. But brand exposure, down at the bottom, program tradition and stadium atmosphere are still a D. But just like that, we're into C's with campus lifestyle and a C-, conference prestige. For this guy, playing time and pro potential are C's. But now all of a sudden we have a trio of B's, things that were really bad before, D's and F's before. Championship contender at B+, coach prestige. Overall, mine's an A-, but it's looking at your whole staff. So that new coach, only be at a C, knocks us down a peg. Coach prestige, that was still solid at a B. Coach stability at B-. And the 3 key things for this guy in playing style, playing time, and pro potential, all being a couple C's and an A+, means at 50 hours, we are making rapid progress, and all of a sudden this guy is going to commit here in like 2 weeks, a third of the way into the season. Traditionally, we have a hard time getting somebody to commit at any point during the season, let alone a third of the way in. So change is coming, change is happening, and it's good change. It's very good change. We're going pretty rapid with this guy, and yeah, he's going to be signed in a couple weeks, and then I can redistribute those 50 hours to others, which is phenomenal. We got the National Defensive Player of the Week with 2 interceptions, our cornerback, and Greg, also 23 carries, 148 yards, and 6. For a second, I thought that was touchdowns. It's yards per carry. against South Alabama, weak team. We should be 3-0, especially after having offensive and defensive players of the week. Yes, we are 3-0 so far. I don't know what direction I was going coach upgrade wise, but we just leveled up, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and get the wide receiver recruiter upgrades, the first couple tiers at least, with the less time to fully scout and increased starting interest on wide receivers and tight ends, which is quite a few players on your recruiting board. And just as we finish our non-conference schedule, those first 4 games of the season, we've done it. Trevor Diamond, the one I was showing you, has signed 3-star right edge, our earliest signing, besides a 2-star recruit in the first season who signed immediately. Well, it's not all great here as we come out of the non-conference schedule at 3-1. We did take 1 loss. FCS East, a 44-0 dropping. 43-10, comfortable on the road at Arkansas State. And then we crushed South Alabama at home, putting up 65. We do give up 17. Most we've given up on the season so far. And Mississippi State went very poorly. On the road, though, and an SEC program, Bulldogs beat us 41-18. We've got 2 bye weeks to come before we get into our conference slate. And so far, Central Michigan at 3-1, and then Toledo at 2-1. Look like the 2 strongest opponents in the conference, but of course you never know what a non-conference schedule looks like, and you would think we should be comfortable favorites this season. 4 home, 4 away. We're at home with Central Michigan. That Toledo one could be the toughest. Bowling Green at home, or on the road, historically, might be one of the toughest that we would have to play. Buffalo has been weak in recent years. They're both 1-3 right now, so yeah, we might be able to roll through this with 1 loss or fewer. I think we should be favorites to win the conference this year comfortably. We're 3 games into the conference slate. Perfect so far there. 6-1 overall. Versus Miami, 45-20. At UMass, 37-12. And our toughest game probably of the conference slate, but at home, was Central Michigan. And we did win 31-24. They were 6-2 and a perfect 4-0 in the conference entering the game. So definitely a tough task to get that win, but we did it. Now, with 5 more in-conference games, it's quite clear that Toledo and Buffalo are going to be our 2 toughest. Toledo is perfect in the conference so far. Buffalo is perfect in the conference so far, and we're on the road for both of those games. I would think that as long as we split those 2 games and then win the others, you would think we should be headed for a conference championship at that point, and at 10-2 once again. It is possible we are going to be in trouble in the coming games, as all 3 of our halfbacks on the main depth chart are all out injured right now, including Greg and all of those top backups. Enough so where a redshirting freshman is going to come out off his red shirt, tear it up for a moment, and we'll be fine because Greg's going to be back next week. But he's going to start over a couple fullbacks who are not good at being running backs. No problem without a running back against Ball State. We were at home and they're terrible anyway, so 49-17 we come away victorious. I'm assuming that it was the through the air where we secured a lot of points on the day. But next up is the most difficult challenge of Toledo on the road. On paper, Toledo is definitely beatable as they're just a 69 overall. So we have a plus 14, but we've got so many injuries. But Greg's back, so the freshman running back had like 22 carries and 50 yards in the game. He got about 2 yards a carry. Not much for us. It was definitely through the air. I talked of the importance of splitting our 2 difficult road games, and that's exactly what we did. So Toledo is 9-1 right now. We lost to them 44-27, but it was on the road. I think we can absolutely get that back in a MAC championship game. with Central Michigan slipping to 6-4, and Buffalo, after we beat them 59-38, now being 6-4. It's pretty clear that the championship game is almost certainly going to be between us and Toledo. Though for Buffalo, that was their first conference loss, and as for Central Michigan, they only have a couple. So it's definitely not a done deal yet. We've got 2 conference games left, but Northern Illinois and Bowling Green, neither one of them look that strong this year. But Northern Illinois is 4-2 in conference, so you never know. We're at home, though. So we repeat our record from a year ago, 10-2, 1 loss in conference, and we are going to go with a rematch against the 1 loss we had, which was Toledo, and both of us have cracked the top 25 as we head into the game. This year's Heisman goes to a wide receiver from Boise State. They've gone from running back to wide receiver now as their area of strength. 1,600 yards, 26 touchdowns. And we are headed to the Arizona Bowl after losing the MAC championship. We are not in automatic. We've lost twice to Toledo this season. The Lobos, very similar to Toledo, 69 overall, 9-3 record for them, 5-3 in their conference. Definitely should be a victory for us on neutral territory, but so should the last one. By the way, we've set a lot of records. Quarterback, running back, wide receivers. In fact, we have more than one wide receiver that's broken the receiving record this season, meaning 2 guys have been better than anything we've had prior over the course of just this one season. The loss to Toledo, 51-34. They beat us pretty handily both times that we played them. Neither was terribly close. We each added exactly 1 touchdown from the last time we played them. And they've ended up 13-1 on the year. As for us, we beat New Mexico pretty comfortably, 55-20. So at least we get our bowl win, and we finished this year at 11-3. And that still, even though we didn't win the MAC this year, that very much should send us in the direction of more prestige. Not a ton more, but definitely trending upward, hopefully to 2.5 stars. In terms of talent to lose for the coming year, we've got 2 guys worried about playing time, and we have just 3 worried about playing style, with a couple at no risk of transfer. So that's really helpful. If we're only going to be losing 5 guys this year, a lot better than a year ago, and we did somehow get better. Obviously, Greg's going to be leaving us as he's a senior, so that's something. It's going to take a lot to replace him, but if we're not losing that many guys, and we didn't have a ton of seniors anyway, we should be trending upward for next season. Clemson has beaten Pitt to win the national championship 38-21. How in the world did Pitt make the playoff and get to a championship game? And even though we come out one loss worse off, we still end up in a similar position to last season. So Clemson, Pitt, Alabama was number 2. BYU was undefeated and then lost prior to the championship game, dropped to 4th. Texas 5, Wisconsin, and our final ranking is 23rd this year with an 11-3 record. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.